Well, welcome to the Tuesday Night Call. I'm Jeff St. Laurent, and I have Julie Danielson on the phone. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be a great call tonight. Really excited about the information we're going to be giving. Real quick to start us off, for those of you coming in that aren't familiar with what we're doing, I have a lot of great education. All these calls, that are Tuesday Night Calls, I record them. And I know that's where majority of you listen to them. I post them every Friday on the Selling Coaching University. So sellingcoaching.com, just go to the university, and you're going to see not only the Tuesday Night Call recordings, but there's a whole bunch of other educational videos broken up by different sections, some quick ones and then some really in-depth ones. So that's a great free resource for everybody. And then also, if you want to check out my Facebook page, Selling Coaching on Facebook. And lastly, there's a Selling Coaching private group, which I know Julie's a part of, which has been awesome.
Yep.
And Julie, just real quick, kind of off the cuff, like being a part of the group that you've been for, I mean, the group's still a couple months at the most old. What's your perspective in being in the group and the value of it for you as a coach? Because I know you're also in other groups as well, but what's the value of this group been for you so far?
Well, what I've gotten out of it, Jeffrey, obviously, there's been times where I've been able to talk with you and ask you questions on your group calls, and I just feel like, you know, it's great to have that support from somebody who's a little bit more of a seasoned coach than myself. So that part has been amazing, and you're very responsive on Facebook and email, and I just really appreciate the support that I've gotten from you.
It's good to hear that. Yeah, and that's what I want it to be. I want to have that support because there's a lot of coaches out there, right, that we're all moving along together, and it's being able to have that support, but just especially when you have those questions, it's important to have. So let's go ahead.
Share some of that. And I also love your video challenges and the stuff that you've been doing on the closed group. That's been really fun, and it's really fun to watch. And I think it was Alan. Was it Alan that did the whole video while he was walking and hiking on that beautiful trail, and you could see the scenery and the sunlight?
No, oh God, I forget who that was right now. I think was it Mark or, anyway, yeah, but yeah, that was cool seeing that.
That was very cool. So it's been fun to get to know other people from their videos on that, and it makes it even more, you know, fun to have that support and other people commenting on your videos and saying great things about it. So it's been awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you for doing it.
Well, yeah, I love it, and thank you for being a part of it. And that's another reason why I'm having you on the call tonight, because now you're not a client of mine, but you've been a fantastic supporter of, like, you've been coming to the majority of the Tuesday Night Calls. You've been participating in the group. You've been really responsive, which is great. And like randomly, I called you one time, right? And because I saw you were doing some things, and you had asked me a question and stuff, and I'm just like, I'm just going to give her a call, and kind of worked with you through some of these things. And I want to, not only with my clients, but people like yourself, like when people are getting out there and doing something, like I want to promote them. I want to not only promote them, but more importantly, I want to give the reward and the insight to other coaches, because it's hard to do stuff like this that we're going to talk about tonight. And whether it's an e-course, a webinar, or whatever it is people are launching, it could be just, you know, your first video. We're going to get out kind of like the truth of behind the scenes, and that's my inspiration for this call tonight is, you know, I've been a full-time coach since 2004, and the reality of a full-time coaching business, and I say this in a lot of the stuff I do, but the reality of it is it's not about coaching. Right? We all love coaching, and we go to a coaching school, and we fall in love with it, and it transforms our lives. And it's like, oh, my God, I want to become a coach, and that's fantastic. But the reality of a coaching business is it's like 10% coaching, right? And then the rest is like just it's the work. And tonight we're going to get into the work through, you know, exemplifying what Julie's done. And, you know, because I've been there many, many times, and I just know the frustration and the challenges. But obviously the reward on the other side is fantastic. And Julie's going through the mix of it now. So that's why I wanted to kind of have this. Because, Julie, you just had your webinars yesterday and today, correct?
Let's see. They launched on Wednesday of last week, but it's like they're auto-playing. So it may
Gotcha.
seem like it's live to somebody that goes there, but it's actually canned, and it's on autoplay. It's on auto-repeat. So they sign up for a time, and then they watch the webinar, and then they kind of trickle down through my funnel.
Gotcha. So yeah, we're going to talk all about that. So first, real quick, Julie, I know your website is empoweringmomentum.com, and I'll put that link with the recording as well. But just real briefly, tell us just like who you are how you got to this spot of becoming a full-time coach. Just like a brief summary, because I want to get into some good content.
Oh, goody. Okay. So I come from corporate America. I did marketing in a telecommunications company here in Alaska for 14 years, and my wonderful husband allowed me to leave my job and explore coaching. It's something that I had wanted to do, and I thought it would be my retirement job, like, oh, I'll do it when I retire, and then I'll really be following my passion. But he let me do it now because, you know, things kind of shifted for me, and I left a job because I wasn't liking it. And, you know, I got that email from IPEC that said, it's not too late to sign up. And I was like, yay, it's not too late. So I signed up for coaching, and that was last November. Gosh, it was a year ago I started my coaching with IPEC. So I completed in May, and, you know, I had my website built. I did it myself, and I'm real particular about where I spend money, and if I can do it myself, I'm going to do it myself. Built my website, had my business cards by the time I went to Mod 3, and I was like, I'm ready. I'm equipped. Let's do this. And then it's like, okay, I launched, right? That's kind of launching. Your website's out there. You've hung your shingle, and it's time to get customers. And one thing I realized, you know, looking around the classroom, and whatever classroom you're in, not everybody's going to make it as a coach. Some people are there because they're doing it for personal reasons. Some people are there because their work wanted them to go, or they're there just for their own personal development. And some people really have big intentions to become a coach, but they may not, and they may be a great coach, but it takes more than just being a great coach to make it in coaching. And I'm saying this even though I haven't, quote unquote, made it in coaching yet.
Yeah, you haven't made it in coaching yet, but look at, so let me go now. You quit your job, and you had a really great job from what I understand. You had a high-paying job, and
Yep.
You had a great career in marketing, correct?
I did. So really I left telecommunications, and then I went to another job for a while, and it didn't work out. And that's when my husband said, you can leave that job and go do coaching. And so it was because I wasn't liking my job, which I'm sure a lot of people have experienced. I know a few people I met at IPEC that was like, oh, I hate my job. And, you know, that's one way to get into it, I guess. But I guess what I want to talk about here is, like, the reality of what it takes to break through that feeling like you're making the money and feeling like you're successful. So that's different for everybody. My measurement is, when will I make the kind of money that I was making when I had that great job, right? That's kind of my measuring stick.
And what does that bring up for you in terms of challenges?
Okay. Yeah, a lot of things, because so I launched my webinar, and, you know, I have these really huge goals of how many packages I want to sell. And it didn't happen overnight. I mean, it didn't happen in a week either. And I guess I have to shift my expectations and know that it's not going to happen just coming out of the gate. Like, I'm going to have to shift, and I'm going to have to change, and I'm going to have to try new things. And I'm going to have to keep doing that until it eventually, slowly does happen for me. And I guess that's kind of what I've come to acknowledge over this last week. It's like if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. This is not easy. And just because I made the webinar doesn't mean it's successful. Just because it's out there doesn't mean it's being purchased.
Absolutely.
So,
it's only the beginning, right?
It's totally only the beginning.
Yeah.
And there's
So
a
let's
lot
stop
of
for a
things that I
minute.
would have...
Let me take you back now, because I want to get into this, like the piece of, because you just, okay, we launched the webinar. So rewind to the point in time where you're realizing, okay, you're doing things, you're getting out there, like we've talked about you getting out there in front of people, doing events, having tables or booths at different shows, right? But where's the point? I know you've also studied Jeff Walker, correct?
Yes, the product launch.
Product launch formula, so awesome internet marketer, Jeff Walker. And so you're studying, you're doing all these things. Take us to the point where you realize, I've got to have my own e-course. I've got to do a webinar and start that process.
Okay. So I realized that to build your coaching business, it is a lot of networking, like a lot of networking. And I don't love networking. I don't love it. I don't love getting out there and selling. And I did it anyway. Like I shared a booth at a women's show with another business coach, and I did the personal coaching, and she did the business coaching, and I talked one-on-one, face-to-face with so many women over the course of 3 days, long days. And I got really great at pitching my product and talking about coaching and really engaging people and getting them to talk about themselves. However, it was like all of the next steps, and it just wasn't happening fast enough for me. And I also still don't like selling myself. I don't like going out and networking. So I knew that I needed to find another way to get out into the world and, touch other people. And I really wanted something that was like a platform, other than the platform shoes I was walking in. Right. So I came up with the idea of doing and targeting women going through divorce. So my program is called Thriving Through Divorce. And it's basically all of the steps that I took in order to come out of my first marriage, in a positive way and learn the lessons that was meant for me to learn in the process of that divorce. And, going into my next relationship, I was in a completely different place and did the work on myself prior to it. And, because I really wanted an amazing guy, I knew that I had to be a really amazing person. So Thriving Through Divorce is really a path of self-development for women who, are facing this really difficult time in their lives, and they can use this as a catalyst for their own personal growth and development.
So essentially, you had this product in mind, right? Thriving Through Divorce, and it sounds like through your experiences, you had this great content, and you realized that networking is one avenue, which has been a challenging one for you, which you get better at, but you realize there's got to be another way to get this out there, and so you're choosing the platform of saying, hey, I want to take this knowledge of Thriving Through Divorce, make it some type of a course, and sell it to people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought,
so you have that. So go ahead.
Here's what I thought, Jeffrey. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be so easy, and I'm going to launch in a month.
Launch in a month. I literally
told everybody I'm going to launch in a month. Like from concept to actually launching, I thought I could do it in a month, and I was so wrong.
Give us a snapshot of what was the actual time frame from concept to, let's say, last week when you officially launched?
7 months.
7 months. Okay, right. So that's real. That's important to understand. In
Really?
launching, bullet point right now, when someone says launch, so if I'm a coach listening to this, like, what does launch mean? Bullet point the items that kind of went into the launch.
Okay. For me, specifically.
Like the pieces, yeah. What just bullet point them right now, because we'll go through some of them, but what are the bullet points of the things that you kind of had to kind of check off for the launch?
Well, I'm a learner. Like, that's the one thing that is great about me, and it also sets me back, because if I don't know something, everything goes on halt until I learn everything there is to know about it. And at one point I realized I had to stop doing that, and I needed to do it anyway. Even though I don't know everything there is to know about something, I had to do it anyway. So, like, my website, I built it on Wix, which is not a really flexible platform, because you can't use the WordPress plugins that are available out there. So that was great that I was able to get my website done and complete and out there so quickly, but then, like, there's a lot of features that I don't have. So having a website, I needed that, which I still only have a website on Wix.
So you had to find a way around it to work with the platforms for the webinars.
And I researched webinars. I ended up going with Easy Webinar, which is a plugin for WordPress. So I still needed WordPress, which you can do that without having a site. So I did do that. And Easy Webinar is actually not easy. It's really hard, and it takes watching hours of tutorials to set it up. So, I mean, hours of tutorials. And it's also very buggy because it's a new product. And I did do a lot of comparison shopping before I settled on it. And the reason I chose it was I really wanted to be able to put my webinar out there, my sales webinar out there, and to put it on repeat. Because I didn't want to be doing it over and over again. I wanted to do it one time and just let it repeat, and to kind of emulate a live event. So that was one of the features I was looking for, and there were only a couple that offered that. So that's why I went with Easy Webinar. In the end, I ended up purchasing their producer's package to have help, okay? And there's other ways around that. You can hire a VA that knows Easy Webinar to help you a lot cheaper than buying their producer's package. But anyway, that's just another side tip.
All right, so point number one, I'll say this.
Yeah.
With our business, we're always going to have costs associated with launching something. And it's going to, like you said, like you thought you could learn it yourself, and you could learn it yourself, but you needed help. So that wasn't that like a $500 package?
It was a $500 package. And here's the thing, even with their producer, there was a bug that we ran into that I would not have known how to handle. And it was like she picked one of the templates, and it wasn't auto-filling anything. So she goes, oh, there's a bug in the template, let's pick another template. I never would have known that. And that would have spent, a couple of days trying to communicate with their tech support to try and figure that out, which is something I deal with ongoing with my email server. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah. And this is, we'll leave it at this, though. So there's always going to be added costs, and it's just from a perspective of getting things right. You're going to have to hire professionals, people that understand it well, and that are going to have to help you. So that's just the reality of business.
It is. You get to choose where you're going to spend that money. Now, rather than paying for lead pages, which I believe is like $800 for a year or something like that, I created my own landing page on my Wix website, which is just unattached to anything. And if you have any kind of a website builder, you can create your own landing page. The cool thing about lead pages is they're templates, which you can do yourself. Emulate somebody else's that's out there that you love, and, just kind of make it look like that.
Yeah.
So that's how I saved money.
Yeah, so there's ways of doing it. And so people listening to this, what I want to just say as kind of a disclaimer right now is I don't want to, because I can see how someone will get overwhelmed, right? Just listening to this, like it can be very overwhelming. And so the point of this call is not necessarily to say, hey, here's how to set up a webinar from start to finish. And I want to clarify that is more of like understanding the behind-the-scenes stuff so you can be prepared for, if you will, the reality of what's to come. Because what's going to drive you through this is the vision of what you're going for, and that's what's going to keep you going and have to be figuring this stuff out. So as Julie's saying, and I figured this out and this out, I mean, even listening to this stuff, and I know what you're talking about because I've done a lot of these different things, I'm getting overwhelmed,
I know, and I'm not done yet. I mean, there really is a lot, but I'm condensing 7 months into this 1 hour call.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of things, and like you start them, you don't do it start to finish in, a short period of time. You're implementing it, and like as I got closer to my launch, I already had my autoresponder set up. I had Aweber set up. I learned a little bit about it. I planned out what my emails were going to be. That was another whole area that I guess I got really confused about, which was the funnel.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit so people understand, like, what's the funnel mean?
The funnel. Okay. So the funnel is, let's say you're advertising your webinar on Facebook, and people click on that ad. When they click on that ad, they need to go to some kind of a landing page that is either going to say register here, and it's a button, and it takes them to another landing page where they enter their email and their name, which is what my capture system is all in Easy Webinar, or that landing page can be the capture system where you capture their email. And this is really important because you can be capturing emails now. You can have some kind of a freebie out there that is totally related to your product and capture emails starting now. Don't wait until you're ready to launch like I did, because I don't have an audience to launch to. So in the last 7 months, I could have been doing a freebie here and there with a little boost post and like just really cultivating that list and creating that audience. And right now I don't have that. So I'm using my webinar as like a freebie because it's free to watch the sales video, right? And of course my offer's in it. And I'm using that to build my list. And the bad thing about that is they don't know me. They don't know me until they watch that webinar, and they're not ready to buy because they don't know me well enough. So I'm having to really cultivate relationships with these people, and that's one area that I see that I really went wrong is I could have been building this list all along. But once people enter their email address, then...
Let me stop you there for 1 second because I want to continue on. That's a really big point. You learn this, but I want to say that, number one, you didn't go wrong. It's just what you could have done. It's knowledge you could have had ahead of time, right?
Yeah,
and so,
exactly.
But now you have it, and look at everything you're explaining. You had to understand all this.
Right.
7 months ago, everything you're talking about now, you either didn't know anything about or just kind of seen it briefly.
Exactly, and it's like I am reinventing the wheel with this, because I've never done it before. And there is no one go-to place to learn all of these steps and to learn exactly what kind of a funnel do you need. So your funnel is, what happens once you have their email address. You have their email address, and then maybe they get directed to sign up for the webinar, which is what mine does, and they pick from a drop-down menu a couple of times, and they choose a time to watch the webinar. Then my autoresponder sends them email reminders, hey, don't forget to join the webinar in 1 hour or whatever. And they have the URL there in that email, and they click on it, and they go watch the webinar. At the end of the webinar, there's a button, or there's a button throughout the whole thing that says buy now, and it directs them to my sales page. My sales page tells them, here's what you get with the webinar. You get 7 modules of Thriving Through Divorce, and each module contains guided journaling. I call them self-help workbooks, self-work workbooks, and you get a video, and you get a companion guide to that video where you answer questions as you go, and it's all about, creating that thought process inside them to help them grow. And you also have a Facebook group where you get to know each other, and it's a closed Facebook group where I can communicate with them. And we also do weekly group calls where they can email me questions, and it's a live group call just like this one, right? And it's for my closed group. So they're in the email, they're in the sales page, they pick a package, and I only have 2 packages. There's just the webinar, just the Thriving Through Divorce 7-module program, plus the group calls and the Facebook and all that. Plus, there's a premium package that includes one-on-one coaching with me. So there's 2 price points. And of course, in the webinar, they get $200 off. So it's $297 for just the package of Thriving Through Divorce, and it takes me no effort to sell that. I can have 1 million people buy it, and I don't have to do anything because it's already out there, right? And then there's, about 10 packages that I've capped for people to buy the premium package, which is $1,797, because they also get $200 off if they buy that package, and that includes 8 sessions with me. So those are the 2 packages. They pick one, they go to PayPal, they pay for it, and then they're in my AWeber, and there's like a sequence of emails that go out after that. So all of those things are the funnel, and I kind of described each one a little too much probably, but all that detail is needed, and you kind of have to figure out, well, when people click on something, where are they going to go? And then what? And then what? And then what? And then what happens? And that's the funnel, and you have to keep them engaged.
Absolutely. So it's figuring out the pieces of the logistical steps of where they're starting from, where are they going, and then the steps they're going through. It's what products that you need, products meaning like you talked about the Easy Webinar Jam, or do you use a lead pages, or when you mentioned AWeber, meaning a place where you can deliver emails from and autoresponders. And so it's figuring out all these pieces to that and understanding it, and then not on top of that is now it's developing all the content that goes along with it. So obviously having a really good map of this process is going to be good, but it also doesn't have to be as complicated as it sounds. Go ahead.
I think I did in the most simplest forms, honestly.
You what?
I really believe I did the most simplest funnel possible.
Yeah, and it really, at the end of the day, it's really simple when you see it. One of the things I want to point out that you said is, because a lot of new coaches will listen to this, and there's the number one thing that I preach. I know, like Alan's on the phone, I tell him this every week too, is I'm like, the number one thing we got to do is we've got to build an audience. Like you said, that 7 months, like I should have been building my audience with a free offer, getting my information out there, videos or whatever it is. Yeah. And so that's the number one thing for people is to get an audience. And it's like before you sell anything, you could be creating your product, right? You could be creating it that you're going to sell, but for the first, like I always say it like this, 8 to 12 months, like build an audience. You can get clients from it as you're building the audience by engaging with people, but you got to develop those relationships, because when people know you and trust you, that's when they buy from you, because they're familiar with it. And that's exactly what you were saying. So I want to really highlight that piece, because to set up that initial, have a free offer, something simple that's of value, and you can create ads and drive traffic to that and capture email addresses, and then on a have a regular basis being in front of them with education, that's definitely the way to do it.
Absolutely. And, one thing I learned from you, Jeffrey, is I love how you give so much of yourself for free so people can really get to know you. And I think that's my next step, is really developing what that is for me. And it's kind of funny because, I had this mistake happen, okay? And that is, somewhere in my email chain of things, the email that was supposed to only go out to people that bought my product about about the group call, that email went out to everybody that said, hey, our first group call is today.
Gotcha.
So it as, oh my gosh, great. For a moment, I was like, oh crap. But then I was like, oh my God, this is actually awesome. There's all these people out there that clicked on my stuff and haven't purchased, and I have a chance to connect with them. I have a chance to get them on a call and talk to them. So I followed up the accidental email with a purposeful email that was like, I can't wait to get to know you guys. I can't wait to hear from you. Please be sure to meet me on the call, and here's all the call information. So I had that call just before this one, and one person showed up. And I got to tell you, I am so grateful for that one person. I am so grateful. One person showed up, and we had the most amazing conversation. And, she said that I helped her, and I gave her things to think about and a new perspective on things. And I love it. I know we had a powerful call. So rather than being bummed that nobody else showed up, I started with one. And I can continue to build this call just like you have yours, Jeffrey. I can target my, women going through divorce and have this call on a weekly basis, whether or not they're paying for it. I can at least start there, and hopefully they get to know me and want more, right?
That's it. That's the way to do it, is you provide really good value, and especially if your target market, it's women thriving through divorce, and they're coming from a common space, so now you know where you can find them in terms of social media platforms, et cetera. And as you start promoting it, it's like you have this stuff and you record it. And like I said, right, you've shown up to my calls, just you and I, right?
Yeah.
It's been you. Susan's been on the call. Just the three of us a lot of times. And it's those opportune times where you get to build relationships with people. You help people. It goes out there. There's people that listen to the recordings. It's like that's how you start to build your content and also start to understand your market more. But the number one thing is building relationships.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're really doing.
And I really don't want to discourage people from doing a webinar. I've learned so much in this process, and now that the work part of it is done, I can focus on marketing it. And so one person showed up. I'm going to do the call again in 2 weeks, and I hope a few more show up. How great would that be? That's growth.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's the right mindset to have.
Yeah.
One person shows up like that, 'cause that's the reality.
And the reality is, Jeffrey, if it were easy, everybody would do it. There is always an opportunity to quit. Always. But if you quit, you're not going to know what could have happened. And
what kept you going, though?
I really believe that I can help people.
So it's that belief that you can help people, that's what kept you going?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like I am obligated to get this out there. It is so important. Somebody is going to benefit from this.
So there's a really good point is you didn't share your story, but you shared your passion for behind why you were creating this course, Thriving Through Divorce, because of what you went through in your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like that's a real big driver for getting this information out, because you've had this experience and you want to share it with these women. because you know it's going to help them.
Absolutely.
So in those moments of this frustration, it's just like it all goes back to why, like why we do what we do.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. It's like, you know, when I went through my divorce, it was the biggest struggle of my life. It really was. It was the biggest struggle of my life. And I'm on the other side of it now, and I'm remarried, and I am so much a better person for having gone through it because I really learned the lessons that I was meant to learn in that. I looked at it all very, you know, with a lot of self-awareness. I read a lot of books, and I purposely went out to better myself and change. And it was really a catalyst for that change. And now here I am remarried to, like, the man of my dreams, and I couldn't be happier. I want other women to know that they can have that too, you know, if they take this as an opportunity. And so I was kind of thinking of that and relating it back to my webinar. My webinar is my next big struggle. And you know what? My life is going to be better for having done it and for continuing to work at it even through the shitty days. I know that because of this struggle, it will be successful. Or maybe something else will be born of it that is successful. I just know that if I keep doing it, something good will come.
Can you hear the trust you have?
Yeah.
Like you just screamed out trust. Like what you're doing is you're beginning to allow yourself to trust the process.
Yeah.
That's going to be key. When as entrepreneurs we can begin to trust the process, that's when we can allow success in our business. You pointed out, Julie, earlier, like how you have to learn, like, I have to learn everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
and a lot of employees, this is the difference between entrepreneurs and employees. A lot of employees who are learning to become entrepreneurs, their biggest challenge is learning to trust the process because there's that control factor of, you know, everything's going to be perfect. I've got to learn everything. I've got to figure this all out. I've got to do it all myself because that's where they're coming from. And that's what I'm hearing the growth in you is you're beginning to trust the process and go with it and move forward with it.
Yeah, exactly. Regardless. Pull the trigger anyway.
Yeah, and so talk about the decisions, because this is a big thing with entrepreneurship is you know, as entrepreneurs, we are the CEO, right? We are the owner of our business. And what I find what stops them and holds them back is the inability to create decisions and move forward, even if they don't have all the information. Because that's really what business is all about, is you've just got to go by, just collect enough information, you got to trust your gut and move forward. Talk to me about the process you've had with that and your ability to create decisions.
You know, decisions are something I worked on with myself a long time ago. I don't struggle to come up to a decision. I don't sit there and waffle and should I do this or should I do that. I look at something pretty detached and I weigh the options and one's going to weigh heavier than the other and I go with it. And that's part of the trust. It's like you just have to go with your gut feeling on things because whatever you do is the path that you were meant to have. Either you're going to learn something from it or it's going to, you know, work for you or help you in some way. There is no wrong decision.
What are some of like the top lessons that you've learned that you're going to, through this process, that you're going to bring into your business now that you could share with people?
Gosh, there's so many. Well, and it's really funny because I talk to my co-coaches about this process, and, like, we meet on a weekly basis, and they're like, so, do you have a deadline yet? Do you have a deadline yet? And I laugh because nobody's in my box with me trying to figure out how to do all this, and they don't really know the depth of what it takes to create this, and all they see is, like, my struggle, and they want to coach me through my struggle. And it's like, I'm okay with the struggle. I'm going to have a day where I'm frustrated, and it's okay to feel that. It's okay to feel frustrated. And I think that's one of my biggest lessons is, like, my email went down today, Jeffrey. My whole email is deleted in my Outlook. And that was frustrating. And I still haven't even dealt with it. I just closed my computer and I said, okay, I'm going to get on with my day without dealing with this right now because I was feeling very frustrated. I had this call with you and I had my other call before this. But, like, if you can be frustrated and still do what you need to do to get past it, then you're better for it. It was a struggle and you've grown. So there's going to be obstacles in your way. There's going to be so many, and, like, your brain is going to want to say, just quit already. And that's not what you're meant to do. You're meant to keep pushing through it.
So the frustration is working with frustration.
Yeah, doing it anyway. Doing what needs to be done. And, like,
the biggest, go ahead.
Allow yourself to feel frustrated. I mean, my email going down, obviously I'm not going to put a smile on my face and fake it. Like, oh, this is great. You need to feel that feeling of being frustrated because take that energy and make it work for you. I mean, tomorrow I'm going to get on the phone and deal with whatever I need to do in order to fix it. And it's going to take that frustrated energy in order to make it work. And you can make frustration work for you, or you can sit in it and have self-pity. But I recommend making it work for you.
That's a good recommendation. Yeah, the technical pieces of our business is even if we have people that can work with us and hire things out, talk to people for recommendations that have been doing it. That's why I love when people ask me questions because I've been through so many of the frustrations. That's why I recommend things that I recommend. But expect those technical challenges. And my email was down. My website was down last night. So it was like 9:30. I'm sitting on the couch and I look on my phone and I'm like, why isn't my website not up and live? It's like ran upstairs and had to deal with it. And it was my own error. But those are the things that just happen, and those are great signs that we're actually doing something. The fact that you're going through all this, Julie, is it's exciting because that's why I'm like, oh, I want to hear about all this stuff because it's like you're doing the actions. And it's tough to hear someone go through that, but you're moving forward in an intelligent direction, which is great. Give us another lesson.
And the rewards are not like, instantaneous. But you know what? I had such a great call with that lady today, and if it weren't for the path that I'm going, I mean, honestly, I feel like she was meant to be there, and we were meant to have an alone conversation, and, maybe she'll be a customer. I feel like, it just was meant to be.
That's exciting. And it's doing those things that are rewarding for us and having those things set up, like the call that are going to recharge you and also get you out there. That's important to have those set up.
Absolutely. And how great to find, like, what it is that is going to work for me to get out there and speaking with my audience, whereas, going to chamber meetings and networking with people is really not it. I'm not finding my niche that way, and it wears on me because I'm not social in that manner. Like, I don't love going to meetings and networking with people. So I think that's the thing is find what works for you. There is no one path to coaching. You really have to find it for yourself. Everybody's is different.
And Julie, you have such a well-defined niche that networking events and meetings like that, like you don't need to go to those because you know where your niche is. Someone who's hasn't a well-defined niche, they're going to have to go to networking meetings because it's like their people could be anywhere. But you've done such a great job with that. It's like now it's like finding those specific places. which is
Exactly.
exciting. That's the point of having the niche, is now you know where to go, and now you know what they're looking for because you have the message.
Yeah, and finding creative ways to be seen. I've been writing blog posts and submitting them. There's some great places just for divorce, like divorce.com, divorcedmom.com, and Huffington Post has a divorce editor. So, find where you can reach out and touch these people. And, I personally love blogging, and I think this is going to be, my next way to reach out is via blog and getting people to connect back to me.
That's great, forming those relationships. One more quick lesson, and then we'll close this up. So share, what's another big kind of chunk that you learned from a business perspective that's going to help you moving forward?
Oh my God. You're going to be uncomfortable. The whole video challenge that you did, the first time I did it, I was so uncomfortable. The second time I did it, I was so excited to do it, and I did it anyway. I did it. So, step into your discomfort. And I think I keep going back to that. I think that's the one thing I keep going back to during this whole call is, you need to step into where you're uncomfortable and do it anyway and get past that.
Because what's been on the other side for you?
That's where you're proud. That's where your proud moments happen. You can look back and say, oh, my God, I did that. I was uncomfortable, and I did it anyway. And that's how we make ourselves proud from within, right? Is doing something that makes you uncomfortable, and you just do it anyway. It's I don't know, my son practicing on the trampoline trying to do a backflip, and he's scared out of his mind, and he does it, and he fails several times, and then he finally does it, and it's I did it. Oh, my God, I did it. And he's so proud. It's the same feeling for us as adults taking business risks that put us out there and out of our comfort zone. But when you do it, you're yay, I did it.
Yeah. I'm hearing that you learned something about yourself by working through that discomfort. What did you learn about yourself?
Oh, gosh. What did I learn about myself by working through that discomfort? Well, I find that I am my own biggest barrier, and I think that's so true for so many of us. For me to push through that uncomfortable place, for me, seems hard, but for other people that know me, they think, oh my gosh, Julie, you're just great at that. You're just so awesome at doing that. You're great at making videos. You're awesome at that. And it's for real, the battle is inside my own head between actually being great at it and, stepping into that discomfort. So once you push past that discomfort, and you probably have to do it several times, it becomes easier.
So you learn that, I'm hearing that you learn that you're your worst enemy, and you're your own, that there's those barriers inside of yourself, inside of your head that are the things that hold you back. So it's almost like you're understanding there's more of an awareness of that and how to get past that easier.
Yeah, exactly. And being able to trigger those responses inside you that say, oh my God, I have to do this anyway. I'm uncomfortable right now, but I got to just do it.
Yeah. Because here's the news flash, everyone, right? Those things are never going to go away. They're just not going to go away. Our ability to go through them or around them or over them is just getting better. I'm hearing you honed your ability to work past the voices and the whatever spaces that have kept you stuck in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah,
this is
good.
Here's what's really funny. Okay, so I launched my webinar, right? It's out there. It's available. Anyone can buy it. I hope someone does, because then I'll have to record my mod 2 and my mod 3 and my mod 4 all the way through 7 that I haven't recorded. I have mod 1 out there, and I have like everything ready, but I haven't recorded my other mods yet. So that's the next. That's another part that I need to actually do is actually complete it so that it really is on autopilot. But hey, launch anyway. You don't need to be done.
Bingo! You got it.
Exactly. Launch, and then the fire is really lit for you to complete.
So let me highlight this as a space within entrepreneurship. Our goal is to set it up, come up with the title and the marketing, launch it before you have the product done.
Absolutely.
That's the way to do it.
Have like your first module done so that you have a model for the rest to do, but like, you know, you want to make sure someone's going to buy it. If nobody buys it, you really don't have to finish it, do you?
Right. And see, now the biggest thing is like you're saying, is like, well, you've got to build the audience, develop the relationship with the audience to buy the product.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've almost done all the hard work up front. Is now you've got the model and the system and the understanding and the product, your core product in place, ready to go. Yeah. Now it's just like most people, well, they won't do anything or they'll skip around spaces. But now it's just like, great, you build the audience, and now as you build the audience, here's another way of looking at it, Julie, is now as you build the audience, the product's ready there and waiting for them. So it's just a different way of doing it, right?
Absolutely.
So, it's really cool to see you go through this process and to, like, witness your growth. And here's what I'm hearing from you, because we've talked on the phone a few times, and you've been on my calls, and we've talked in some of those times. And even just listening to you now, one of my curiosities tonight was, like, I'm just curious to hear how she's grown as a businesswoman and entrepreneur as a result of this. And I can only say from my perspective what you've grown, because even the things you're talking about now that I'm kind of agreeing upon and collaborating with is it's like, yeah, she's getting it. Like, these are the things that you get, and someone could tell you them, so it could work, could tell you them ahead of time, but you're not going to really understand them until you go through them yourself.
It's true.
And you just learn them better. So
you can go download a million different kinds of blueprints out there for how to get from A to B, but your A to B is different.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will say this in closing, and then we'll open it up, and if Alan has some questions, we can do that. But I will say this, is that, and I say this all the time, and this is the passion for what I do with mentoring, is, and again, if it's with me or somebody else, is find a mentor with what you're going through. If it's starting something up or going through something, like right now I'm working with a mentor on Facebook ads and email marketing campaign, because I could do it, but I'm working with an expert, so I can really learn it the right way. So then when I teach it and share it, or I have at least a reference. But find those mentors in your world with where you're working on. And the best thing I can say is find someone that you trust and listen to them. And where I attribute to my success is that, I found mentors that worked for me, and I listened to what they said, and I did it, and I just trusted it. And oftentimes people don't trust what their mentors will tell them, if they even have those people. And that's a huge, huge component of working. And I can already see it now, Julie. Just like someday you're gonna be one of those mentors. Like, you're gonna be one of those people helping groups of women who went through divorce, like that, now turned entrepreneur, and you're going to be helping them, because it's just like it's in your future. I can see it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing everything that you did, and I'm excited to hear the journey as you go along. So real quick again, what's your website?
So my business website is empoweringmomentum.com. And then I also have thrivingthroughdivorce.com, which is, you'll find my landing page there for this program. And you end up, when you click that button there, then you would end up going to enter your email address to view the webinar.
Awesome. So if they go ahead, sorry.
They would enter to watch the webinar there.
Gotcha. So if they go to thrivingthroughdivorce.com, and I just went there myself,
okay,
that's where they can register for the webinar and check that out.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. And you did a great job with it. I mean, you did all this stuff yourself.
Yep.
And it looks really professional. It looks fantastic.
Well, I have a marketing background, and even though I have a very lengthy and good, strong marketing background, I'm learning things that I never had to use before. I mean, I've done Google AdWords and Facebook ads in, when I worked for an ad agency and a lot of the stuff, but I'm learning all new programs, all new things.
It's new, isn't it? Yeah.
It's crazy. There's so many things to learn.